1. Wonderboy, what is the secret of your power? Find out tonight on Fragments of Silicon.
Not sure if they ever answered that question in the video.
Probably not.
Not important. Anyway, so welcome to another installment of Fragments of Silicon. Right. So joining me this week are Galix,
Hello.
Eddie Fan,
Yo.
Twilight,
Hey.
and returning after a very, very long absence is Elemental Ogre.
Clemency. All right, 7,000 hit points.
He's currently having
Yes. Elemental Ogre is accompanied by our guest tonight, Static.
Yeah, we've been trying to work through this problem all throughout the pre-show, and we haven't quite nailed it down. We think it might be facial related. Like,
Probably just old shit.
it's possible. It's possible.
Mhm.
All right. Right. So, before we get to the news, so you might notice we don't have a guest this week. We were supposed to have Audi from Sekai Project back again. I sent him a few messages a couple days ago. He never got back to me. It's not the first time this happened. He often travels and is probably at GDC, which is happening this week. I'm like, he might get back to me once he sees the message. He might not. I mean, I'm not too worried about it. We've had him on the program a bunch of times, and we'll have him on again when it's more convenient. But it's fine because, well, we didn't have a topic of discussion last week because of the very, very, very packed interview. So.
And also, I'm back, and everyone wants to hear from me for half an hour.
Yeah. It's also, well, I kind of need a light week myself because, well, I'll get to that in the news. All right. Well, speaking of which, Ogre, since you're returning after 7 months or however long it's been, you go first.
Well, let's see. I had a bunch of teeth on the top of my mouth ripped out, and I had a bunch of bottom teeth ripped out because they were rotting out. Which, point to every kid out there who listens to this, brush your fucking teeth. I don't think I can stress that one hard enough. Let's see. Other than that, it's been a lot of boredom. Mixed in with a little more boredom. But at least I gotta play a lot of games in between.
I'm sure you've got a lot of Dragon Quest time.
Oh, yes. A lot of Dragon Quest. But, let's see. Hopefully I should have my new teeth within the month, he says. I don't know, with some modicum of sarcasm in his voice at this point. Let me see. Not much else, really, that I can think of.
How's the LP stuff?
I mean, I know it's been 7 months and everything, but I don't know, it's been a boring 7 months.
You just weren't doing a lot of shit.
Yeah. It doesn't help when you have to spend a month or so going, ugh, painkillers away. But yeah, no, that was pretty much it
All right.
that I can think of.
Well, how's the LP stuff going?
Oh, pretty good, pretty good. It's kind of nice getting back in that flow, despite
Yeah.
Color
How's
Splash's
the,
reputation. I'm honestly having fun with it. It helps playing it with Naka, but
Color Splash seems to be a better game. I mean, it's still using the.
it's still not up to Paper Mario original standards, but it's getting there.
Well,
It's better. It implements the stuff that was in Sticker Star better than Sticker Star. It looks like.
And it also remembered to have RPG mechanics, so there's a point to battle. You know,
Not a
Yeah,
ton of
it's
money, yeah.
there vaguely, but
it's better than what Sticker Star had, which was a literal nothing.
yes.
Mhm.
It's just, they really needed to rework the thing for the boss's idea.
Yeah, we finally did our first boss after God, it felt like we did a quarter of the game out of nowhere.
Yeah, the intro to this seems kind of long.
But yeah. No, it's been fun and interesting. I'm definitely waiting to see what else it's got in store for us, but that's for when we get to it.
Yep. All right. Petty Fan, why don't you go next? Petty Fan?
Hello?
Died.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry about that.
Guys.
Did you have your mute mic'd?
Maybe. But yeah, Saturday in Final Fantasy XIV, my group finally beat the boss we've been working on since December. So
Did
that
you go
was
forward and back, and then forward and back,
and then beat his fucking skull in.
and then 1 foot forward?
Yeah.
And then 1 foot out, and then 1 foot in, and shake it all about.
Well, no, the joke on that one is the song in that fight is basically just the vocals going forward and back and forward and back, and something like that, you know.
And then 1 foot forward.
So yeah, we finally did that and went into the final section of Alexander Creator Savage, and I got my ass handed to me. Literally, his tank busters hit for more health than I have, even with cooldowns, so that's gonna be fun. An ogre is still going through a tunnel. Outside of that,
Just a tunnel?
Yeah.
Sloppy.
Let's see. I had to give my mom the last money I had in my bank account because she lost her gas card that she uses to buy gas. So that's been fun being broke.
Yeah.
And just been playing games and stuff.
All right, Galix, you're up.
Well, it's been an adjustment to my dad being retired this week. He retired Friday at the end of last week, and since then I've been dodging people with a really bad cold, including him, because he probably got it from a guy from work on the party we had.
I was about to
on
say
Thursday.
parting gift.
Yeah. So that guy at work has been out. The office manager has been out, and Dad's been sick, so I'm really hoping I don't get it, but my throat's been starting to tickle tonight, so I'm kind of worried about that because I don't want to have to take a week off work, which is what it's shaping up to be at this point.
Fun.
Have you been feeling yourself getting sick?
Not until just this evening. And it's not bad, but my throat's been tickling and my head feels a little bit funny, which can happen for other reasons, but
Yeah, you gotta watch that.
Yeah, I've been trying to take emergency and vitamin D and other things to improve my immune system.
Just been eating whole oranges, whatever it takes.
Anyway. So yeah, for a change, I have had some time to play one of the games for this week already, and I plan on trying to play a bit tomorrow or Friday, or possibly later tonight, depending on how things go.
Yeah.
I haven't really been doing much Pokemon over this past week because I've been kind of busy with things, but yeah, other than that, not a whole lot going on, I don't think.
All right, Twilight, you're up.
No, not a lot going on here either. Really, just been working, playing games, and that's about it.
Like,
Like the most boring place on the earth, probably.
like, you are truly the rock of the group.
Something
Looking
about
that way.
Kentucky.
Yeah.
Right, so I guess it's my go. All right, where to start? Where to start? Oh, I know. Just got a new laptop, and I mean that literally. Like, it just showed up to my doorstep about a half an hour ago.
What laptop is it?
It's a Lenovo.
Ooh.
Let's see. Lenovo CPU Intel i5-6200U, 2.3 gigs. RAM 8 gigs. Hard drive 1 terabyte. LAN 100 meters to 1,000 meters. It has a DVD rewritable drive on it, shockingly.
Hey, I like my Blu-ray drive.
Well, you gotta understand, I got this for just under a little, like $500. So it's a budget laptop, but it's like twice as powerful as what I as my 5.5-year-old laptop that I'm using right now. Because I've been running up on problems running the games for the show.
Do you know what graphics card your new laptop has?
This is a damn good computer. Don't. Just
You
ignore
okay?
the voice. See if you can't remove that later.
I will.
Anyway, display 17.3 HD plus LED. Like probably 720p. Battery 4 cell plus Windows 10 Home. It's a budget laptop, but it's twice as powerful as what I got now. I'm concerned about the clock speed, but other than that, it's literally what I ordered. Just, I won't have time to dig into it the weekend. Anyway, so while I gained the laptop, I lost a car. Because on Friday evening, I got into a car accident.
I'd make an equivalent exchange joke, but that's not very equivalent.
And I was about to say, and probably not in good taste.
No, it's like, no. I'm fine for the most part. I've got some bruises here and there, and some sore spots, but they've been healing. I'm like, it was a good accident in the sense that, as far as I know, nobody's been seriously injured. Like, I don't even know who the guy who hit me is. Like, the police were kind of sloppy in their groundwork. But anyway, was at the tow place yesterday. The car's totaled. Going through all the paperwork on that. Point being, I'm going to be without a car for a while. Like, top it off, I'm probably going to have to do some things like declare bankruptcy because, well, my debts are such that I could not afford a car payment at such a time. But that's the kind of thing that's been kind of in the works already, so don't. I'm not too worried about it. I mean, as far as the car goes, it was paid off like almost a year ago.
So it could
So
be
you
far
won't
worse.
have
That's not a concern.
so you won't have to keep paying for a pile of scrap in a junkyard somewhere.
No. Like, I can walk away clean, so to speak. Like, as far as my insurance goes, well, the car was under my mother's insurance because the way the way the car was structured is kind of weird because it used to be my brother's car and they co-owned it, and then they had to work that, and I took over the payments, but we hadn't gotten around to getting my name onto the car itself. So, you know, that's a whole thing. You know, as far as you know, it's like working through the insurance and taking care of that. You know, most of that stuff should be taken care of sooner or later, from what I'm told. Sooner rather than later. You know, I, it's like the check will be cut. Not exactly sure when. I still got to take care of the tickets or the citation I got. As, you know, it's like I was asked about it, and they found me at fault. Of course, I was a bit emotionally perturbed at the time because I just got hit. But whatever. Like I said, if things sound a bit vague, it's because, well, this happened less than a week ago, and just working through it.
Mhm.
And um, well, like I said, I'm trying to find the words for how I feel right now because it's kind of weird. Like, I don't feel any profound sense of change. For example, how some people get into an accident and find that.
Mhm.
I think that might be related to how fine I came out.
Yeah.
Like how fine everyone came out. Like the other guy was walking around. He was a lot more cognizant than I was.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, I mean, I could have died. Someone else could have died.
You could have took out a
Whatever.
street lamp or something like that.
Yeah, I'm like, I could have gotten paralyzed. All of that shit could have happened, but didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
It's like, in fact, like my mother's car accident 2.5 years ago was much worse. I think it took her a good 6 months to recover from that.
Mhm.
Because she had like deep soft tissue damage.
Oh.
I mean, it's like I've been dealing with a lot of soreness and stiffness.
Yeah, your issues are more like emotional and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
As far
And,
as
and financial, but
Oh yeah.
I'm like, well, it'll all be worked out. I'm like, there's the other car. Um, you know, that there is another car that I have access to, so I'm not worried about not having a vehicle. As far as the other car goes, I don't think I really didn't have the emotional attachment that say mother did because she went in with my brother on that and had that a lot. It's like I dealt with that a lot longer than I did. Plus the car never really felt like mine because like when you get like for example with the insurance and all that stuff, it's not really my responsibility because insurance follows the owner of the car, not the driver.
yeah, my car's technically my mom's also.
It's like that kind of deal. I mean, make no mistake, obviously I wish the accident hadn't happened, and obviously I wish I still had my car, but you know
be a lot worse. Like, he could be without a car and without working legs.
I'm like, or it's like I could be paralyzed from the neck down, kind of. It's like, it's like the guy could have got like the other guy could have gotten killed, seriously injured. But as far as I know, he seems to be fine. Like, I mean, I haven't heard anything on that. Like, as far as say getting sued or anything, like, I guess he's welcome to try and get the nothing he will see nothing I have.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Careful, he might get your Steam account.
Yeah, the point being, it's like, don't exactly have a lot in the way of assets, right? Like, Mother would be a different concern because she, it's like, I don't know, but, she also knows a good lawyer because she went through an accident not too long ago, and, would be able to take care of it. So, yeah, that's kind of the situation as it is right now. Standpoint is pretty bad. Like, I think it somewhere around the door, like, sometimes it's hard to tell what it was. Like, one of the things we did in the car was the axle. That was probably by hitting the median. This is, rather than the actual car itself.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm alive. I'm doing reasonably well. I was still feeling like major injuries, off-kilter injuries. Get some medical attention, but that hasn't happened. Like I said, throbbing pain on my side that's been generally receding. It's just been annoyances rather than anything else. Right. So with that soliloquy out of the way, we can actually get back to the show. Probably gonna have to repeat this shit for MSP. Anyway, so this week we're talking about Wonderboy and its assorted tangled webs. So where to start with this? All right.
At the beginning?
Well, yeah, we were supposed to talk about this last week, but our Owlboy retrospective postmortem thing banned the whole show. And therefore we couldn't get to the topic. And it looked like this was going to take 2 episodes anyway to get through because it's probably going to take about a half an hour just untangling the fucking history of this thing. It's anything but straightforward. In fact, you might want to get a flow chart out and start writing shit down because it's going to get complicated. Which is weird because it's a pretty simple series in terms of gameplay.
Although some vary, obviously.
Yeah, it's like, I know we got some Wonderboy footage playing in the video window.
Wonderboy 3.
Which one?
I'd been meaning to ask about that.
That is an excellent question. 1 second.
I'd been meaning to ask about that, actually. The way that you're playing it includes the faux CRT thing?
Yeah. Wonderboy 3 Monster Lair.
Yeah. That's one of 2 Wonderboy 3 games. We'll get into that in a bit. Because, all right. So the original Wonderboy was created in 1986 by a duo called. Actually, I think it was a trio, or it was like I think Wonderboy was created by 2 people, but there were 3 people working there. No, it doesn't matter. They were called Escape, and they created the original Wonderboy. Then they became Weststone, and the original Wonderboy was a side-scrolling platform for the arcade. Like, it was a pretty simple affair. You ran. You ran.
You
to
run
the,
left, you have an assortment, or run right, you have an assortment of projectile weapons.
Uh-huh.
And basically you have to keep collecting fruit because otherwise your time meter will run out and you will lose a life or whatever.
Right. And you get things like stone axes, boomerangs, and skateboards. Like,
I couldn't remember if the skateboards were in the first game.
they were.
Well, it depends on what version you play, apparently.
Right. But this, it's important to note this because many people have played this game, but not as Wonderboy. Because this is kind of the start of the convoluted history here, because the rights issues surrounding the game were such that Sega owned the name and the characters of Wonderboy, but the design of the game itself and the code, that was Weststone. And what they did there is they licensed that to a concern called Hudson.
Which, if you don't know who Hudson is, what are you doing here?
Yeah. So Hudson then put their own characters in. Master Higgins was his name, and created Adventure Island.
Master Higgins is a caveman, and otherwise he's completely identical to the guy from Wonderboy.
Right. And indeed, outside of the characters, they are the same game. Like, literally the same game. It's just they needed to create something for their own uses. And before anyone asks, no. The only connection between Wonderboy and Adventure Island is the first game.
Except for the fact that I think one of the later Wonderboy games was named Adventure Island in Japan or something.
Yes, it was, but that was totally unrelated.
Right. No, it's just even more confusing because.
Right. We'll get to that when we get to that.
Mm-hmm.
Point being is, Wonderboy and Adventure Island both started, as literally the same thing, just, with some tweaks and changes. And it was anyone who's played the first Adventure Island or Wonderboy or whatever you want to call it, it's a pretty all right platformer, but honestly, I never thought it was all that good. Like, am I the only one who played the original game?
I've played a little bit of the original a long time ago.
Fair enough.
Like, I think I was, borrowed it from a friend.
I don't think I've ever actually played any of these. But I've seen Let's Plays of a few of them, and I was really interested in Super Adventure Island 2, and sad that I never got to rent it, but...
I never got around to that one either. But...
apparently it changes the formula a lot, and some people don't like it, but it seemed neat.
It's one of the few games that did in the Adventure Island line. But, anyway, in regards to Wonderboy, in addition to being an arcade title, it was ported to quite a few systems that weren't the NES, as Wonderboy. It saw release on the Master System, SG-1000, and various like computers.
Mhm.
Like Sega would license their games to various European concerns to put on microcomputers.
Because consoles weren't as big as microcomputers were over there.
Yeah. Oh, believe it or not, Sega actually licensed some of their arcade games to appear on the NES.
Hmm
Like Fantasy Zone. Come on.
Yeah, and I think didn't Outrun also get an appearance on the NES?
Outrun, I think it might, but I know like Altered Beast also got a port to the NES.
Hmm.
And like
Spoilers: the Genesis version is the superior version.
yeah, and like Space Harrier saw a saw an NES version.
For being
But yet,
allegedly the same power, there are different things that the SNES and the Genesis are good at. So
yet with Wonder Boy, Hudson couldn't get Sega to budge on the characters, so they created their own.
Hmm
This is kind of important because I don't know if you want to call it an ironic twist or whatever. Um, the series that went on to mostly preserve the style of gameplay of the original Wonder Boy game was Adventure Island. Not
yeah,
one
that's the one that had the caveman instead of Wonder Boy, skateboarding and chucking things at people and collecting fruit.
right, because the very next game was the creation of the. I hesitate to use the word, like it's like the sub franchise. It's Wonder Boy in Monsterland.
In which you get to play as lots of different things,
Right.
which are either transformations of Wonder Boy or friends, I think, depending on the game somewhat.
Yeah.
I think they're all transformations.
Yeah.
It's like, and this is really the gameplay style that the Wonder Boy series is known for. The Metroidvania-esque action RPG thing, rather than the much simpler platform mechanics of the first game. Admittedly, though the first Monsterland game is pretty obscure.
Didn't Naka
As
Let's
well.
Play that, or that's something
I
else I'm
will get
thinking
to,
of? Oh.
That's the next game in the series.
Ah.
It's like, the, Wonder Boy and Monsterland doesn't get talked about a lot, honestly. And I'll admit, I've never played this one. I haven't played any of like the Master System Wonder Boy games. But I think this was actually first an arcade game, believe it or not. I do wish I could speak more on what this one was, but like I said, this is probably the least played of the Wonder Boy and Monsterland series. Maybe not the Monsterland series, but more on that. Like I said, this is just a very complicated history.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And because next up we have two Wonder Boy 3 games. All right. Which, it's like, I don't know exactly how this happened because the Japanese didn't screw this up.
For once.
It's basically one for the arcade and one for the consoles, right?
Right. Well, Wonder Boy 3 Monster Lair,
the one Penny Pan is playing now.
Yes.
And failing horribly at.
Yeah. This is like the last Wonder Boy game that tried to retain the old sense of direction and tried to do something new as well. Because Wonder Boy 3 Monster Slayer is not only returning back to the side-scrolling timed platforming of the first game, but it fuses for whatever reason with a horizontal shmup style.
Yeah, was it the second half of each stage
Yeah.
of the world? You're flying on a pink thing.
Yeah, admittedly, it's something that I don't think the Adventure Island series tried, but you know, I've played this one. I don't like it very much.
Yeah, this one's kind of clunky.
Yeah, it's like well, that's also why I didn't get into the original Adventure Island. Like clunkiness kind of defined it.
Hmm.
You know?
Like, if something's just a little bit above you, I'm screwed. I either have to
Mhm.
get like some sort of a mini hop going, or just pray I can get out of the way.
Yeah. But and this also showed up on the PC Engine CD-ROM system. It's actually one of the very, very first CD-ROM games ever produced.
Huh.
And I mean, like, ever produced. Because the PC Engine CD-ROM system was the first CD-ROM system ever.
Mhm.
Now, and this is I think this was either a launch title or a near launch title for the Japanese um, PC Engine CD-ROM system.
Mhm.
And how the game fared on that system, well, it's pretty much the same, but with better music.
Yeah,
You know,
because CD quality audio.
yeah, I mean, also keep in mind, given that this is like around the literal birth of this medium, they really didn't know what to do with all that space. They really didn't know what to do with, you know, anything. So it was just, you know,
Yeah, the most thing in a lot of early CD games that took up space was, I know CDs do music good, so that.
yeah. Believe me, it's not the worst use,
Especially
considering.
because CDs for gaming was in its infancy, so they didn't want to, make a whole bunch of new content and the thing flop.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, shifting over to the other Wonderboy 3 game, The Dragon's Trap. Um, here's what it's known in here's what it's known in Japan. Monster World 2, The Dragon's Trap. Yeah. I mean, it's even here. It's Monsuda Warudo Su Doragono. Yeah. Here, you pronounce. Yeah, Dragon no Wana.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Which,
it's
yeah,
like
is
this.
Monster World 2, The Dragon's Trap.
Yeah. So.
Because the first Wonder Boy game was not in Monster World, it was Wonder Boy on island with skateboards and fruit.
Right. So I don't know how Sega of America screwed, or Sega of Europe, whoever it was, they just dropped the ball here because we have a Wonder Boy 3 game. It's not this. This is Monster World 2, which makes sense because it's literally a direct sequel to the first game of Monster World. You know, like, it did the Symphony of the Night thing well before Symphony of the Night was ever a thing, where you start out at the end of the last game, and
Uh-huh.
you know, you take down the final boss, the Mecha Dragon. Only afterwards, you're cursed, and your goal in this game, as the name would suggest, is to, well, free yourself from the curse. And I don't know. Oddly enough, like, when people talk about the Wonder Boy franchise, they're talking about this game specifically. You know, and I have yet to really find out why. I mean, maybe it was because of the TurboGrafx 16 game, because once again, this was subject to the Hudson restructuring, let's call it. Hudson released a version of this game called The Dragon's Trap, I believe, or no, it's Dragon's Curse. Yeah, The Dragon's Trap is the actual name. The Dragon's Curse is the TG16 name. It's hard to keep these things straight.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the Dragon's Curse name translates into Adventure Island in Japan.
Because we didn't think it was complicated enough.
Yeah, it's like Aro Bentia Anado.
Airando, yeah.
How like, I'm doing my best here.
No, it's fine.
But and I bring this up because if you listened to our interview with FDG last week, you know, their Monster Boy game is based off of this specific title. And an outfit called Lizard Cube, trying to get them on the show, but you know, it hasn't taken hold yet. They're doing a full-on remake of Wonderboy 3: The Dragon's Trap. Like, it's the actual game.
Mm.
And apparently that has to do with Sega no longer having the rights to the series.
Yeah, that one looks interesting. The most unique thing about it is that you can dynamically during gameplay switch between the modern graphics and the original 8-bit graphics.
Right. It's not the first time I've seen that trick, but it's been a while since I've seen that, you know, classic to modern shift.
Also, especially being able to do it dynamically, I don't know if I've ever seen, but you probably watch more than I do, so.
Well, I mean, like, I remember R-Type for the Xbox 360 did that, for example.
There was an R-Type on the 360?
Yes, there was. It was a compilation of R-Type 1 and 2. Graphics shifted from modern to arcade with the press of a button. The Monkey Island game special editions did the shift from modern to classic. Like I said, it's a trick I've seen before, but it's not a trick I've seen lately. Like,
I think Grim Fandango did it now that I'm thinking about it.
yeah, Grim Fandango did it as well. Like I said, and I'm sure there's other games that are doing it as well. The point is, it's not a new trick, but it's an appreciated one. You know. Anyway, and this is the game that really codified Wonderboy in Monster Land type of gameplay. You know,
with different forms that are able to access different areas to collect things or get power-ups, and I believe this is one of the ones that had equipable, like, variable equipment, like you can get different swords and shields and stuff.
Right, and each had their own strengths and weaknesses. Like, only the human form or the lizard man could crouch, for example. Some forms could only open doors. Like, some forms could only some forms could hold the shield and the sword, and so on and so forth. You know, you had to balance it out. And I'm not sure if it's the best of the series,
But it's certainly it's iconic in the series.
Yeah, it's certainly the iconic representative for Wonderboy. Like I said, I couldn't tell you why, but it is there.
Well, it looks like it's probably partially because it really defined or it codified the formula. Because previous games have some things like that, but not all of it.
Yeah.
And like you said, the one that came right before it, the Monster Lair one, was significantly,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll note the Wonderboy 3 that Petty Fan's been playing, that got a release on the Genesis.
Which is, in fact, the version. I guess it might be Master System.
No, that is Genesis, because there are no Master System games on Steam. You know, which is why the first three, you know, the first two Monster World games aren't there,
Ah, okay.
but the third one is because that was made for the Sega Genesis.
Mhm.
I'm not sure if Petty Fan's going to flip to that one because I know he has it.
The third one.
Yeah, Wonderboy in Monster World,
That's what I
Yeah.
just booted up.
or as it in Japan, it's Wonderboy 5 Monster World 3.
Yep.
Yeah,
Because that's a good way to name your things.
well, we were trying to figure out how this came about because, you know, the naming conventions are really, really screwed up here. If we
I
haven't
think
made it
screwed
clear.
up might actually be an understatement.
Yeah. Oh, and it gets better because, well, it's like I haven't even mentioned some of the other things, like, you know, back to Dragon's Curse, Dragon's Trap, whatever you want to call it. There's a Brazilian version of the game. It got reskinned into a licensed game called, yeah,
Oh, Bikuri Man World? That one?
no.
Oh, that's a different one.
Yeah, Turma di Monica Imo Resigate.
Yeah, I don't know Portuguese that well, so I don't know exactly what that is aiming for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's based off the Brazilian comic book series Monica's Gang. Turma di Monica.
Uh-huh.
I'm guessing they probably just replaced the sprites with Monica characters. I don't know since you know not Brazilian, but yeah, there's another version for you. Yeah. The Kuriman World, I believe, is Wonder Boy and Monster World.
Right. Which is another licensed, I think, version that was in Japan.
Yeah.
Bikuri Man is a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and Wonder Boy and Monster World was brought once again, noticing a pattern here. Once again, hit the turbo. This time, this one hit the turbo duo, as the dynastic hero.
Because of course.
Because who says names have to be related to each other?
Well, it's like I think they use generified versions of the Curryman World characters over here.
Yeah. It must be TurboGrafx players or PC Engine players that had the worst of it. Since like every game that was localized from the series that was localized as a different franchise.
Yeah. I'm like, now, I don't think. Now, unlike the previous, like, I don't think this one actually has anything directly to do with the previous installments. Or if they are, they're definitely obscure. Like, but I remember playing this a few years ago. Yeah, this is one of the two Wonder Boy games you can actually get on Steam.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I guess I'd categorize it as more of the same, really.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's basically, you know, what you experienced in the Dragon's Trap, only, you know, better sounding graphics because it's on a more powerful system. But,
Mhm.
you know, it really wasn't breaking the mold in terms of design. Like, now, like I said, I wish I had more to say about this, but you know,
It's a game that exists.
well, it plays like the other installments in its series, but is what it comes down to.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and there was a Master System version. Just wouldn't recommend playing that because you know, it's a literal cut down version of its bigger brother. You know, shorter stages and the like. That happened. That happened a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, apparently this was turned into another Monica game. So, but
Because Brazil gonna Brazil.
so, and then we come to the last of the classic line, which is simply called Monster World 4. I'm like,
Because this one doesn't star Wonder Boy, it stars a Wonder Girl.
yep, you know, it's. I'm like, it's officially the part where the two franchises, or whatever you want to call them in relation to each other, diverge. Because this is not Wonder Boy 6, because they're taking that title very literally.
Mm.
Now, admittedly, now Monster World 4 I've never played. It's not from a lack of want either. Because, okay, Monster World 4 was a game that you needed to know Japanese
Yeah.
to get around it.
It
Never-
never got
was never-
localized.
Was never localized and has enough stuff in the game that you actually have to be able to read to figure out.
Yes. You know, it was pretty notorious for that. Like, if you wanted to play, I remember being told it's like if you wanted to play Monster World 4, you kind of have to be fluent in Japanese, because it and Monster World 4 is very influenced by Aladdin. I mean,
Just a
now,
little bit.
you know, it's like that might seem a bit surprising considering, you know, it stars a girl, but you know, if you actually see the game and you know, like she's a genie and it's out of Arabian Nights and all that stuff now. Like, and keep in mind, this game was released like 2 years after the movie Aladdin came out, so not, you know, not coincidental. I'm thinking.
Mm.
Possible.
You know, fortunately, Monster World 4 is playable if you have a console.
Mm-hmm.
So, back in 2012, Sega finally got around to translating Monster World 4 into English, and it's available on the Wii. Premiered there first, and then it's
Remember
also
remember back on the Wii when the Virtual Console had butt tons of random like Genesis and Master System and PC Engine games?
those were good days. Anyway, but it's also on the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3, and it's fully translated on all three of those systems. Why it didn't come to the PC, once again, I don't know, but you know,
Might be a rights thing, maybe. Who knows?
I don't think it's a rights thing, you know, because like I said, and it's not even like an emulation issue because they actually released this on, you know, on all three systems.
Mm-hmm.
You know, now in regards to actually playing the games, you know, the complete sets. The only way to do that digitally is via the Wii Virtual Console. So you'll need a Wii or a Wii U.
Hey,
you
I
know,
could actually do that.
yeah, it's like you can switch the Wii U into Wii mode, and because you know the Wii Virtual Console still exists, and and the interesting thing is not only can you get the entire Wonderboy series, but you can get all of the Hudson spin-offs as well. Adventure Island's there. The Dynastic Heroes there, and Dragon's Trap is there. No, I don't know why. No, actually, I do know why that happened. It's because Hudson and Sega are separate companies, and they make those decisions independent of one another.
Mm.
Yeah. So, and then there's the Adventure Island series. So, as I mentioned, the first game is, outside of the characters, it is the first Wonderboy game.
Mm-hmm.
The second Adventure Island game is not. It is not based off of any of the Wonderboy games.
It is a pretty much designed as a sequel that plays more like the first one than the second Wonderboy game does, though.
Yeah, it basically put its own spin on the Wonderboy. I hesitate to say formula, but the first Wonderboy gameplay, and honestly improved it with the addition of dinosaurs.
Everything's better with dinosaurs.
Which makes sense because remember, Adventure Island is caveman.
Yeah. It's like also since there were some design changes as well, like some like there are no more checkpoints in a stage, but that's because the stages have been reworked to fit console parameters.
Mm-hmm.
The original Adventure Island, Wonderboy, whatever you want to call it, had 8 very long stages because arcade game.
Quarters.
Yeah,
Yes.
want to eat all them quarters.
Yes. So the second Adventure Island game has a lot more stages. They're shorter, so they don't need checkpoints. No. Anyway, so with that in mind, the dinosaurs are really the big change in dynamic, and not just because they provide an extra hit.
They're basically riding pets, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Say like Kirby's Dream Land 2 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you find this a suit of cards. There's like the blue dinosaur that has a tail attack. The red dinosaur that has the fire attack, and can also go into lava.
And the yellow dinosaur that makes dangerous but tiny sand clouds when he lands with his mouth full. That was a Yoshi joke.
And there's the pterodon, which can fly, which is your flying dinosaur. And there's the Ichthyosaurus or whatever. There's the swimming dinosaur.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a big shift in gameplay, but
it's an interesting addition that kind of fits thematically, and it gives you a little bit more variation in what you're doing than just run right and throw stuff at things and collect fruit.
Right. And as far as the plot of Adventure Island, it really does
There's a plot?
Higgins' girlfriend has been kidnapped again. Go rescue her from whatever.
Yeah, the plot of Adventure Island is pretty much the same no matter what the game. Like, Master Higgins' girlfriend of the week has been kidnapped. Go rescue her. No, seriously, like.
Yeah.
Mario syndrome.
Anyway, then there was Adventure Island 3, which, admittedly, I never played because, well, it came out in, 1992, and by that point I had well moved on to the Super NES. Most people had. In fact, Adventure Island 2 or Adventure Island 3 is one of the last NES games to be produced. and it's a lot more incremental than its predecessor. That is to say, they really don't.
It's mostly another one.
Yeah, it's like reading up on it. They added some things like he can crouch, can't backtrack, and the big thing is like this new green Triceratops thing.
Back in the NES days, crouching was an innovation.
Yeah, like it gets new weapons. It's a very much an incremental, you know, upgrade. Now the real shift was in Adventure Island 4. Yes, there was an Adventure Island 4. We never got it because it was released in 1994 for the Famicom. Yeah,
Huh.
yeah, it's an
That's even later.
yeah. In fact, it is like maybe the last Famicom game, or certainly close to it.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's the final official family computer game in Japan, and yeah, it's not hard to see why it didn't come out here. I mean,
Weren't we
fuck,
getting ready for N64 near that point?
yeah, we were getting like the last NES games that year. You know, the likes of Mega Man 6 and Star Tropics 2 and Wario Woods came out that year, but yeah, by this point, there wasn't even like a Hudson USA anymore. And it's not hard to see, you know, and it wasn't like Adventure Island was Mega Man.
Yeah, Mega Man. Well, Mega Man's evolution is a lot more gradual than you think of it as, but the core gameplay never really changed much.
But
I was
Anyway,
more
here's
talking about popularity, I think.
Oh yeah, that too.
Yeah.
so here's the big thing about Adventure Island 4. This is the one that actually apes the Wonderboy series in terms of design. It's, you know, it's that Metroidvania style thing, and your animal buddies kind of function as different forms here.
Hmm.
It's much closer to the Monster World games than previous entries. Although, once again, nothing direct. Like, by this point, Adventure Island is well established as its own thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in fact, even though this is the Adventure Island 4, it's only the fourth Adventure NES game. I've actually skipped over 2 entries because
Wow.
they appeared on other systems.
Because of course they did.
You know, that's the first Super Adventure Island. I remember playing this back in the day, and I can tell you right now, it was basically Adventure Island, like the original Adventure Island, but on a Super NES.
Oh,
So-
I
man.
understand it's actually one of the better playing ones in the series, though.
Oh yeah, it played well. It's just all of the additions that had been piled on in the NES version kind of just stripped away.
Mm.
Yeah. I'm like,
Hmm.
it's
Odd
basically a better sounding, better looking Adventure Island game. That's
Which, of course, would
really
appeal to
all
some
that I can. Yeah, that's really all I can come up with in terms of like reviewing. You know, it's like also a pretty unusual soundtrack, but that's mainly because he used Koshiro. And there was also New Adventure Island. Yes, well before Nintendo abused the word, we had Hudson. Admittedly, I've never played this particular one because it was TurboGrafx 16. But once again, it's comparable to Super Adventure Island in that it's Adventure Island just prettier. You know, it looks better, it sounds better than the original Adventure Island games. Once again, it has none of the NES evolutions. It's you know,
So no
it
dinosaurs.
yeah. Dinosaurs don't really return after the NES games. I don't know, you know, not sure why.
Kind of a
But-
shame, although there isn't that much more of it, I don't think. So
Yeah. Then there's Super Adventure Island 2. Yeah, this is the other, well, Wonderboy-esque.
yeah, it's got an
yeah.
overworld map, and you go between different islands, and then on the islands there are like hidden passages that connect to the other islands, and like you get swords and armor and shields and stuff, even though you're a caveman. Although, admittedly, you've always been a caveman wearing a pretty modern-looking hat.
Right. The difference is there's an overworld map, and you can get random encounters. Now, I think Zelda 2,
Mm-hmm.
like, you know, if you've seen Naka's Let's Play, you'll know. I'll be honest, I really can't recommend Naka's Let's Play of Super Adventure Island 2 because he did it in like 2008.
Yeah.
It's like early Naka is pretty rough. I think he'll be the first one to say that.
Yeah.
I remember watching that one, although I don't remember how it was. I mean, I don't think it was like particularly boring or anything, but
No.
it's certainly a very different game.
Yeah.
Well, I think even Naka has said that's one of the few games is on the Let's Play list for
Yeah, he
obvious
admitted it a few
reasons.
times.
Right next to the hole
Mhm.
where Kirby Superstar isn't because they did Superstar Ultra or whatever.
Yeah. Believe it or not, this is not. This is actually not the last. Adventure
Oh,
Island.
right.
So y'all probably missed this one, but there is Hudson Soft released an Adventure Island game for the WiiWare service. It's called
Oh,
Adventure
God.
Island: The Beginning.
One of the like 5 games actually released for the WiiWare service. I'm kidding, there are more than that, but
There was plenty of WiiWare games. Just
oh, right. I'm thinking of DSiWare.
Yeah.
The WiiWare had enough. Never mind.
yeah, I'm like, it. You know, it's. I think I want to say it's a remake, or at the very least, it's a reboot of of the series. You know, once again, you know,
Classic formula.
yeah, it's like Hudson just like going back to the classic style. You know, I don't know why. I'm like, and it's hard to say if they would have evolved or changed or whatever had there been more of these on the WiiWare service, but you know, from, yeah, it's not a very good looking game. I'll say that. No, in fact, it's pretty butt ugly.
Is this one of those ones where they tried to do a 2D platformer with 3D graphics and it looks kind of crummy?
Mm.
2.5D.
And when you don't do that right, it looks bad.
Well, I think the worst thing about that kind of thing is that in a lot of games, the original versions relied a lot on like pixel accuracy for jumps and stuff, and that doesn't work so well with models. Plus, with models, static poses look way more awkward.
Mm-hmm.
And on the other hand, idle animations look really weird in this kind of game sometimes. So yeah, obviously that didn't catch on very well on account of there don't seem to have been more of them.
Probably for the best.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, if
so,
there had been, it would
and
be nice if they'd gone back to some of the other stuff like the dinosaurs or
yeah,
any.
I'll be honest. I liked it more when they went their own way, like rather than rehashing the, you know, not bad, but pretty basic gameplay of the first Wonderboy game. But I guess on the other hand,
There's some
but,
limit to the appeal of run.
on the other hand, Adventure Island really made that style of play its own, because Wonderboy only revisited that gameplay style once, and that was with Wonderboy 3. And even then, they fused it with side-scrolling action.
Mhm.
Like I don't know why some of these happened. Only the creators could tell us. But yeah. So, and this is why this series was going to take 2 episodes, because if you manage to follow all of that,
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you're lying.
You're lying and you had a spreadsheet underneath the table.
Yeah. It's
Or
like,
flowchart or whatever.
No, seriously, it's pretty convoluted. Though, in terms of like gameplay and all that stuff, really fantastic series as well. I recommend it. Adventure Island, depends on the game. Like, I'd recommend the later NES versions, or Super Adventure Island 2. I think you can get that on the Virtual Console.
Mm.
And when is Monster Boy coming out?
Monster Boy? We don't know.
So
Yeah.
in the future.
Yeah. We don't know when the remake is coming out either.
They are coming out sometime, hopefully before the heat death of the universe.
Yeah. They should be out this year. Right.
Mhm.
But we'll see. So that'll about do it for another installment of Fragments Silicon. Be sure to join us, about 40 minutes for another episode of Moonhawk Studios Presents. I'm not really sure what. I'm guessing Mac's going to have more updates on the motion comic, because that seems to be his main project right now, considering the Indiegogo campaign has pretty much fallen flat on its face about as hard as it could.
Mm-hmm.
That like 20% thing is kind of a stiff requirement, I guess, or a stiff wall.
I don't know. It's been a while since I checked, because there was like literally no movement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not doing much. There's still time for miracles, but miracles is miracles.
No shit. Like, it's at $381.
Mm-hmm.
It's been like that for what, over a week? Like
Something like that.
It's still got 3 weeks to go, but I don't see it pulling 17% here.
No, that's the planets align just right and make a miracle happen.
Yeah, one of us win the lottery and we become Mac's best friend of all best friends.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, not even being pessimistic, it's being realistic.
Hmm.
Now,
Hmm.
I have not seen this thing move in so long. Like nobody. That is unfortunate.
Yeah.
Um. Anyway, so coming up throughout the week, Sunday reviews. Um, we've got reviews of games of Never End, which is a recently released roguelike, and Vive la Raw. Um, let's just call it a puzzle game centered like centered around French Revolution. Only you're trying to save the king.
Which is hard because everybody wants to kill the king.
Well, yeah, he's actually up for execution, and that's literally what you're trying to do. You're trying to save him before he gets his head cut off. Anyway, and coming up next week, we'll be having Trevor Michelesi of Gigatros Games. Admittedly, I haven't done a lot of research into Gigatros yet. I've kind of been a busy week.
Mm-hmm.
It's also well, they're a replacement guest for somebody else who had to switch up and all that stuff.
As
So,
happens.
yeah. So until next time, I wish you good gaming.